What's up, guys? Happy Friday. The Fantrax Fantasy Football Team has a collaboration video for you talking sneaky candidates to finish as this year's wide receiver 1 overall in fantasy football, being drafted, though, outside the top 5 picks for the position. The top 5, based on current ADP that we will not include, are Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill, and Stephon Diggs. I'll kick things off. My candidate to finish as this year's wide receiver 1 overall is CeeDee Lamb, who has progressed in all of targets, receptions, receiving yards, receiving touchdowns, and fantasy points per game in each of his 3 seasons. This past season was his best season. He commanded 156 targets. He finished with 1,359 receiving yards, scored 9 touchdowns, and he scored the 7th most fantasy points per game. Why is this so impressive? Because Dak Prescott only played in 12 games this season. Dak actually averaged 37.3 passing attempts per game in his last full season, so the volume is there. Brandon Cooks is a good thing. His veteran presence, I think, will keep defenses honest. CeeDee Lamb should continue to command a high target share, high target volume in general, have receiving yard upside, and be a candidate to have double-digit touchdowns in this coming season. So based off of all of those things, CeeDee Lamb is a good candidate to finish as this year's wide receiver 1.
What's going on, everybody? This is Colin McTamaney of Fantrax. I just got off the beach on a family vacation, but I'm stopping by to let you know about my sneaky target to finish at the top of the wide receiver position this year, and that is Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Sun God. Let me tell you, this guy had a 26% target share in 2022, 8th most targeted wide receiver in the league. 61.5% of the Detroit Lions touchdowns from last year are vacated. No more DeAndre Swift, no more TJ Hockenson, no more Jamal Williams. Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to score more touchdowns in 2023. He was the 9th most targeted player in the red zone last year and caught 28.5% of his red zone targets for a touchdown. The volume's there for this guy. There's no reason he can't do it again in 2023. He's going to score more touchdowns. And with Jameson Williams suspended for 6 games to start the season, he's going to be the top guy in Detroit again. 146 targets last year, despite all of those players I just named. 2023 is going to be no different for Amon-Ra St. Brown. He can be the number 1 wide receiver in fantasy football this year. Go get him.
Which wide receiver do I believe has the best chance to finish as wide receiver 1 that's not currently going in the top 3 right now? Got to go with Offensive Rookie of the Year, Garrett Wilson, with his 2nd year in the NFL, launching his way up to number 1. Here's how the stats broke down for Garrett Wilson last year. He had 83 catches, 1,100 yards, and only 4 touchdowns with the Jets. But he did it on 147 targets, which is good for 8th in the NFL last season. So it's not like we need a huge increase in targets this year for Garrett Wilson. Also, the addition of Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers had a down year last year for the Packers. He doesn't need to return to that MVP form for Garrett Wilson to potentially finish as wide receiver number 1. Last year, Aaron Rodgers had 26 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. Mediocre numbers by his usual standards, but when you compare that to what Jets quarterbacks did last year, all 4 quarterbacks who played for the Jets last year combined for 15 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. Even if we get that same level of play from Aaron Rodgers again this year, Garrett Wilson is going to be a huge benefactor of that. Mark him down as my favorite wide receiver, going outside the consensus top 3 receivers off the board to finish number 1 overall.